So each time I introduce a piece, I will give you a little bit of a synopsis because the poems are quite long, and then read part of the poem for you to enjoy so that you can see what she's doing with music. Pan, who desires the wood nymph Syrinx, and so pursues her. How she said no and fled through pathless places until she came to Ladon's river, flowing peaceful along the sandy banks, whose water halted her flight. And she implored her sisters to change her form. And so, when Pan had caught her and thought he held a nymph, it was only reed that yielded in his arms. And while he sighed, the soft air stirring in the reeds made also the echo of a sigh. Touched by this marvel, charmed by the sweetness of tone, he murmured, "This much I have," and took the reeds and bound them with wax, a tall and a shorter one together, and called them Syrinx still. Whose father drives the sun through the sky, asks to be acknowledged by the sun god. In response, Phoebus promises to grant him any request at all, and soon regrets his promise. The boy asked for the chariot, control for one day over the winged horses. The harness was put in place, and the sun god, for protection, touched his son's face with holy medication, and said, "At least, my son, perhaps you can obey a father's warning. Go hard on the reins. They need no urging. The trouble is to hold them." As the chariot rises in the sky, Phaethon does not know the horses' names, and terror is doubled, tripled, as he sees around him strange figures in the sky. Out of his senses, with cold fear upon him, Phaethon dropped the reins, and when the horses feel none to check them, bolting they charge wherever impulse hurls them. Lawless, crashing against high stars, they bound through pathless ways toward heaven or plunging sheer toward earth. The mountains of earth catch fire, the prairies crack, the rivers dry up, and Phaethon sees the earth on fire. He cannot endure this heat. Under his feet he feels the chariot glowing white hot. And Phaethon, his ruddy hair on fire, falls streaming down the long trail of air. And far from home, a river god receives him, and the western naiads give burial to the body, and on the stone they carve an epitaph. Here Phaethon lies, who drove his father's chariot, If he did not hold it, at least he fell in splendid daring. Who boasted about her many children, Toledo, who had only 2, and was punished for it. So she sat there, a childless woman among her sons, her daughters, beside her husband, and never moved. No air lifted her hair, the color of her features was waxen, and her eyes were fixed and staring, the picture of utter grief. And in the picture, no sign of life at all. The tongue was frozen to the roof of the mouth. No pulse beat in the veins. Neck could not bend, nor arms be moved, nor feet go back or forward. And the vitals hardened to rock, but still she weeps, and she is carried, caught up in a whirlwind to her native mountains, where, on a summit, a queen deposed, she rests, still weeping. Even to this day, the marble trickles with tears. man who believed in him. Bacchus, of course, is the god of wine, fertility, and ritual madness. Wherever Bacchus goes, the cries of women hail him, and young men's joyful shouts, and drum and timbrels sound, and cymbals clash, and flutes pipe shrill. Be with us, merciful and mild, the Theban women cry, and crying, cherish the sacred rites as ordered. Who fell in love with his own reflection. The truth at last. He is myself. I feel it. I know my image now. I burn with love of my own self. I start the fire I suffer. What shall I do? Shall I give or take the asking? What shall I ask for? What I want is with me. My riches make me poor. If I could only escape from my own body. If I could only, how curious a prayer from any lover, be parted from my love. And now my sorrow is taking all my strength away. I know I have not long to live. I shall die early, and death is not so terrible, since it takes my trouble from me. I am sorry only the boy I love must die. We die together. who is pursued by Alpheus and is saved by the goddess Diana, who turns her into a stream. But Alpheus refuses to be beaten. "Goddess," I cried, "Diana, come and help me before I am taken." She was moved and cast a hollow cloud about me, so I was hidden in mist. And he, blind stalker, went searching, lost around that cloak of darkness. Twice he went round the place and never knew it, calling, "Oh, Arethusa, Arethusa." He would not leave, for he had seen no footprints farther along the trail. He stayed there watching, shifting his eyes from cloud to ground. Cold sweat poured over my limbs, and the dark drops were raining from all my body. And wherever I moved, there seemed to be a pool. And even quicker than I can tell the story, I was changed to a stream of water. But even so, he knew me. He laid aside his human shape, became a river again, watery shape, to join me.